You're listening to a podcast by Oak Magazine. I would like to acknowledge the Dja Dja Wurrung people as the traditional owners of the land on which this episode was recorded. I pay my respects to their elders, past and present, and extend that respect to all Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander cultures. Welcome to A Friend of Mine, a series of conversations with some incredible and inspiring women in business from regional and rural Australia. I'm Kimberly Finesse, your host and the founder and editor of Oak Magazine, and I cannot wait to introduce you to some amazing female entrepreneurs who will share with you their experience and knowledge of what it takes to start, grow and scale a successful business. So let me introduce you to a friend of mine. If you're an NBA 2K23 gamer, you'll have noticed there's a new player on the Pelicans roster, and he hails from my hometown, Bendigo, in central Victoria. Australian basketballer Dyson Daniels is the latest star to be drafted into the NBA. He went at number 8 to the New Orleans Pelicans, and the 19-year-old's 4-year contract is rumoured to be around US $25 million. Of course, behind every successful athlete is a parent, or two in this case. Proud mum Brikitta Kool-Daniels, with her husband Regis Daniels, have helped Dyson realise his dream of playing in the NBA. Basketball talent runs in the family, with eldest son Kai playing college basketball for Regis University, and youngest son Dash recently named among Australia's top 20 under-16 basketballers. All three boys have played representative basketball, which translates into many hours spent training and travelling. That in itself sounds like a full-time job, but somehow Brikitta and Ricky have also managed to successfully run one of Bendigo's best gyms for over 20 years. So what does it take for a kid in country Victoria to play ball on the biggest stage in the world? In this exclusive interview, Brikitta shares with us their family's basketball journey and the whirlwind experience of the NBA draft. We talk about the media attention, the sacrifices, that big NBA contract, managing the expectations on younger son Dash, taking time out of the business and going viral, all thanks to a stunning white dress. Plus, Brikitta shares with us an exclusive announcement in regards to Dyson. Meet my very good friend Brikitta, mum of Australia's newest NBA star. Hello Brikitta and welcome to the podcast.
Hey Kimberly.
I'm so happy that you have found time for me, finally.
Finally.
How many months after the NBA draft has it been?
Oh, look, I think it seems like a long time ago, but it has only been, I think 4 weeks roundabout.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
that's crazy.
Lifetime ago already by the feeling, but...
I know. So it is an honour to be able to interview the mum of Australia's top draft pick. There were other Australians that went, weren't there?
Yes, there was another Australian, but he was in the draft a bit further down.
Yeah, but we only knew one. We were only watching.
Really?
I mean, only the top 10
exactly.
matter.
Selfishly, that's what my mind was on as well. So,
Excellent. Now, look, I'm not going to go too much into your background because we've got other podcasts with you that talk about that. I really want to talk about the lead up to the NBA draft, what that media circus was like, and then business as well, because I'm assuming you're on cloud 9 and then you've come back home and it's back to reality.
Well and truly back to reality. No, exactly. But it's still some great feelings though with it all. And as we sit here right now, my mind's going back to that event and just absolutely excitement plus.
Yep. No makeup team today, sorry.
No. What are you doing to me, hey? Lucky no one can see us.
I know.
The real Brikitta has come about again.
Yep. So let's go back a little bit in terms of basketball. Where does that come from? Because your family are so involved in that sport.
Yeah, look, it's all because of Dad, Regis Daniels. I didn't even know basketball. As much as I was a sporty girl growing up and did every sport at high school, tennis was my main. I had never played basketball. I think it was one semester of a high school, prac thing you did. But met their dad, Ricky, and he was a professional basketball player that came out to play it in Australia. And once we started our family and had 3 boys, it's like, well, what do you do? Any sport, but of course, Dad well and truly influenced it.
Yeah, basketball.
Yeah.
Look, I tried it once and I was always the last to leave training. You had to obviously get your free throw in. And I mean, I'm a defender. So even with a backboard, I was useless. So it's not a sport that I've ever enjoyed.
Well, I think because you've got to start it up, because I was tennis netball, and even for that short time of mucking around at basketball in high school, I just couldn't transfer the skills to the dribble.
Yeah, no.
So, so it's just not that easy. And you even shoot differently, because the boys laugh at me because I still shoot like a netballer. So forget mum there.
But it's interesting because I know that my boys have just absolutely embraced basketball, and it is because of what's happened over the last, I want to say 18 months, 2 years, like with G League, and then obviously the draft now of what's happening.
Yes.
Suddenly I've got to learn this sport, and all these. I'm like, what was that call? And it brings them
and
such
obviously
joy.
a little bit influenced by the fact that we know each other and you have followed our journey just a little closer. But you're quite right. I mean, I am just in awe. I cannot believe how big this one draft pick, the media attention that came with it, which when I say expecting, we knew there was media attention, particularly in the US, but I'm talking Australia-wide, not even just Bendigo, Victoria, that catapulted Dyson forward so that every kid in Bendigo seems to know who he is now.
Yeah.
So it's...
and do you think they knew about it beforehand, or it really was those couple of days in the lead up to the draft?
Probably 50-50. There's obviously still the following of the basketball world, and we're keeping an eye on what we call the mock drafts, and there was obviously all the social sites that have every type of basketball thing you can imagine. But no, since from the announcement and when just general mainstream media catches on, that's what really, really sort of solidifies people wanting to know more. Even just yesterday, I ran into a lady that used to own the news agency in Bath Lane for years and years and years, and she would always call me when there's a picture of the boys in the paper,
Gosh.
But then she spoke to me yesterday, and she actually still had just the conversation, she had no idea how big this draft pick and paying in the NBA was, but she was just I'm so proud of your son, well done, and everything like that, but still not quite understanding what it meant.
Yeah. Yep. Is that Geraldine?
Yes, Geraldine.
They are so lovely because they have the City Central news agency, and I just love dropping the mag off to them every quarter, and they know who you are and they put you in prime position, and it's just lovely.
Yeah, great supporters of local, there's no doubt about that.
It's just that small town feeling too. You know everyone.
Yeah. Because I think because obviously they've seen what we call our media of the local Bendigo Addy and the local stuff, and of course that they were proud moments, really proud moments for you, 12, 13, 14-year-olds. And like I said, they just didn't, they would just be proud for you as well to have a picture in a paper, but this is a whole other thing again.
Incredible. You, on the actual day, you couldn't turn on any channel, look at any social media without seeing not only just about the draft pick, but also about Dyson, because it's Australia, and obviously, we've had Josh Giddey before him, but to see, another was incredible.
But keep in mind, I had no idea of any of that because I was just busy doing everything that they had you back to back in the events of things you had to go to. So I was very, very unaware for a good 48 hours of the draft day and the next day of everything that was going on. And until I could get my breath back, then all those messages started really coming through. Yes.
I couldn't imagine it. So what sort of impact has sport had on your 3 boys?
So I think about this a lot, and look, through luck or good, I don't know what you want to call it, but it's not something you planned. You have your kids, you don't know if you're going to have boys or girls, how they're going to be. I've always been an outdoor person, so whatever I was going to do, I got those kids outside. And then they just naturally obviously were showing signs of being coordinated. You start with soccer, football, you just roll them in anything to keep them busy, keep them out of the house. And 3 boys, the fights, the struggles, the back So I'm pretty much we were parents of just keeping these kids active and busy. So when I think about that, I mean, and obviously this grew more and more as their talent showed for kids to really do well, and like all parents just put their kids in doing this sort of stuff. But then in hindsight, when I think about it, it was the most amazing extended family is what we've got with all of this, you know? I mean, I couldn't be there for every second, every how, every way, or my husband, but the coaches of these little, you know, young junior teams and the parents that you meet, and then you get lifts to places for them. And so you've got to recognise that, you know, we've grown these kids up with a great extended family, and this extended family is the Bendigo people.
Yeah.
You know, and it's worked really well for us. And so I think about the things where it could go off the tracks, so when kids do go the wrong way or in the wrong groups and so forth, but they had too many eyes on them all the time.
Yeah.
You know, to do that. And then, look, we placed well because everyone knew Regis Daniels because he played for Bendigo Braves. So I think our boys were always astounded that we would hear things. So it was probably enough to scare them off, you know, going the wrong way.
But when you mention them being active, I can recall seeing you all as a family riding down to the lake.
Yep.
You know, we'd be there with ours, and then I'd see you guys, and you've ridden there. You know, you've obviously had a play on the playground, then you've loaded them back in, and off you've gone.
Exactly.
I mean, here we are driving there, getting them out in pushes.
I know. Well, it's different families and different ways, isn't there? And my way was I have no problem with that, you know, running, riding, getting out and doing that. And that's what worked for us. So there's no different, I mean, whether you drove there or not, but it just happened to work for our family. Worked for me that they would have their afternoon sleep still, particularly when they were, you know, 3, 4 years old, tire them out. But yeah, that's just what we did. And I didn't think about right or wrong or how or when. It was just get through your day like you do when you've got a busy family. Yeah.
So let's talk about Dyson. Has it always been his dream to be an NBA player?
Well, not when I say not always, it was not until he connected to what the NBA is and LeBron James. Just like any Australian kid, they first only hear about the superstars. There are great players in the NBA all round, but the superstars. So I would say 8, 9, 10 is when they started talking, because that's what they do at that age, all kids. Yeah, absolutely, yeah. But
it's interesting that you say it's usually the big name players, because now in 2022, I know that our boys are on, I don't know, I'm going to embarrass them by saying, is it a PS4 or Xbox? I don't know.
PS5 now.
Yeah, an NBA, some sort of game. Yeah. And they were just so excited because Dyson was about to drop in as a player or an option for them.
I don't know.
You know, he hadn't even made the NBA
and I still don't
at that
understand
stage.
all this sort of stuff because so much is happening and just the reach out of the opportunities when you're in the right place and things are happening for you. But that is huge again, and that's a huge world of probably non-athletes, you know. So
yep.
Now
it's not just talent that got him where he is.
Yep.
Like, I imagine that it's a grind for him all the time, and he's had to work hard to get there.
Yep.
What's been your role in that? Like, how have you supported him through that journey to make sure that, you know, he realised his dream? And
look. As parents, you know, you have the choice when the opportunities came, whether you go to trials and they're chosen. And actually, I was speaking to your husband, and we were just talking about your son being chosen for something. And then, if you don't mind me saying, the shock of the finances.
Oh my gosh,
you
yes.
know, really, and that's a real game changer for a lot of families, all right? Because it's not that it's so expensive, but it's well and truly up there, you know, in what you've got to do. Let alone the cost of when you're on the road and the petrol and so forth. Now, we certainly were not in a financial for that either, but we just found a way. We just knew it's important. All the kids showed talent to having this selection, and you make sacrifices for this to happen. So, and that's just one angle of the financials that you decide. Secondly, time. Time is the number one thing. We're country Victoria. We travel all the way over to Gippsland, Warrnambool, Phillip Island to play country basketball. So hours of driving, hours of food, you know, stopping on the way, more costs and things like that. Look, and in hindsight, it didn't seem like a drag because it was our family events together, all right? And luckily for us, both of our older boys usually got to the same tournament, different age groups, and then we had a 5-year gap for the other. So that was our way of spending time together as a family in an enjoyable way. But, hey, I would already be on the way back. Have I prepared? Have I got what I need in the fridge for school this week? Is the whole weekend's gone? The business rosters, are they done? Do people know what they're doing in business? So, I mean, I could go on forever about the juggle, the absolute juggle, which is my forte as the mum of the family, the event manager, juggler of the family. And then Dad's the great supporter and coach and role model, and also to me too, by the way, as support, but definitely not an event manager, okay? If he was in charge, we'd be late all the time. We editing that, Ricky Daniels? I'm sorry.
Yep. But I mean, as you said, you've got it is financial. Like, we've just got one that started on his little sort of representative journey.
Yep.
And that hasn't even brought in any travel yet and hotels. And it's so interesting that you've mentioned it too, because when it came up with David, and I looked at the calendar and I said, because he goes, how do we make this happen? I said, I can understand why, Brikitta had mentioned having a broader family, and how you do
family,
have a
other people to call
family.
on. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And when, back to that note, when I mentioned about the financial, that's that sticking point where a lot of families have to say no. We can't do it.
Yeah.
Or for whatever reason, time. We were lucky to have our own business, meaning that I could make a flexible roster to let us go. If you have a boss to report to, you can't.
No.
Not all the time. So there's so many things that have to go right for us to be where we are now in opportunities of where you place yourself in life.
Yep.
But however, saying that, you can do it if you try hard enough. So, yeah.
So being so busy, and I know fitness is such a big thing for you, you've still managed to fit in your own fitness. What ball did you drop?
Yep.
Traveling around, and especially, Kai and Dyson, they're obviously,
yes,
playing a lot of rep, and then Dash has come through now and doing a lot. Like, that's 3 boys.
Look,
I'm managing one.
Look, my nature is probably a little bit on the selfish side, but the selfish has grown from knowing what's best for me and everybody in the family. So all these events and trainings, I'm not sitting and watching. I will have packed my clothes, my runners, my bag, my bike, whatever the destination we're going to get my mental health and physical stuff in, because I enjoy it a lot. I mean, not all the time, but I am not sitting in the bleachers watching training, for a better word. Dropping them off to go to the supermarket to get the food ready for the whatever, So Dad's different. He loved watching all of that, okay? Yeah. I didn't enjoy watching it so much, but probably because I knew of everything that had to be in place for everything to go well in home, business and life. So, and first and foremost, my mental health. I mean, I just know how much better I feel. I'm not a grumpy mum, can do so much more about getting all that done. So, and I still, I don't know if it's worked actually, Kimberly, because I still walk further than the boys, run further than the boys, maybe not as quick, but my mind was always like, I'm showing them the way to live and do, even though they're not doing any of the stuff that I do. They're doing the different sports. Yeah. I've never heard them say, like, hey, Mum, I'm really, I really appreciate and proud of you that, you keep fit.
Yeah.
It hasn't occurred to them yet.
No, great role model though, absolutely.
Yeah.
So let's go to the NBA draft. You went over about a week prior.
Yep, that's right, yep.
What was the lead up to that like? I mean, there's a lot of talk around an NBA draft. So those that don't realise it, there's actually lists that come out all the time.
All the time.
In the league. Like, again, I've never paid any attention to it until this year.
And I'll be honest, neither had I really. It wasn't until maybe 10 to 6 months out from the draft that I, first of all, understood what a draft is. I had no idea. And the questions that I was asking, Dyson kept saying, don't ask that, Mum, like, because you look so stupid. Why are you asking that? Like, how many are in it and what does it mean? What's the difference between top 10 or top 20, top 30? There was so much to learn. And I really didn't even focus or know that, like I said, at least 6 months beforehand, probably when he got had his year with Ignite in the G League. And even then, not so much, he wasn't even a draft pick. He wasn't in mock draft at all.
Yeah.
Okay? And when that hype started happening, that's when I'm like, oh, what does that mean? And we were told over and over again to ignore them. It really is a media thing, something they like to talk about. But having said that, in hindsight, they were pretty right about Dyson all the way through. So I don't know which way to go. I was told by the agent and all the powers that be, the NBA people that were helping us, and look, forget the drafts. I think they're just trying to, maybe there's been more disappointment over years when you've looked, that they've felt from people, or sort of athletes, sorry, I should say, as opposed to, my God, Dyson had the dream run. He did it.
Yep.
With one hiccup. What we didn't realise is in the early days of G League Ignite, when he very first was playing, I hadn't watched all the games, but apparently Dyson was woeful, absolutely woeful in comparison to his teammates. So there was a real worry, had they done the right thing in selecting him?
Oh my gosh.
Really? So there was a bit, and I didn't find out till a few months later that Dyson expressed to me how upset he was at that time, which upset me even more that he hadn't called us earlier to tell us that. But he did have great support around him. But the point being, he really slid backwards for a couple of months there. However, credit to Dyson, he dug deep, he worked hard, and then those draft numbers and picks and all that sort of stuff started coming.
And that's the thing. Dyson's, he's 19.
Yes, exactly.
Just turned 19.
I know, really.
This is the other thing. He's still a kid.
Such a kid. But there's this, I don't know what it is. I wouldn't say maturity. There's a huge extreme with Dyson, a huge immaturity of being an absolute prankster and laying on the ground, and I can still see my son that has those temper tantrums that we used to call the blowfly, because his legs would be in the air, arms in the air, going off when he was so mad. But when it comes to this basketball career, the media, the people he speaks to and meets, the maturity is phenomenal. I don't know where that's come from. I can only put it down to the whole journey that he's had from juniors to Australian Institute of Sport to NBA Academy. Do you know what I mean? As in all the practice of the people he has had to speak to along the way.
Yeah. So had the support through him, and he also has a mum that speaks very well to media as well. Like, you guys have had to do a lot of media yourself.
But it's funny you say that, because in my ear right now I'm hearing Dyson saying, "Stop saying that, Mum. You're asking too many questions."
That's what mums do.
I know.
Embarrass our kids sometimes.
And now that Dyson was old enough, he's still only 19, it was in the last 6 months that I did sit him down in a very stern way and gave him the speech of, if you don't ask questions, Dyson, you'll never learn. I said, I have no problem in feeling silly of asking one question. You'll feel sillier if 100 questions you didn't know the answer to at all, because you never asked that first one.
Yeah.
So I'm just learning, mate. I'm not offending anybody. I'm just learning. I don't know how they're taking it, but you have to just live with the fact that's your mum.
Yeah.
He's at that stage now. I hope he understood where I'm coming from, as opposed to as a younger boy, it's just like, be quiet, Mum.
Yeah. But that's something that I've learnt off you as well, is to ask the question. So it does. You sometimes just need someone to be doing that and going, well, it's okay to ask the question. Now I say it to Dave, well, why don't you just ask?
Just tell, exactly.
And I don't know.
I'm always weighing up options, It's like, okay, ask a few questions to find out, all right, what's the middle answer? What am I going to go, what does I instinctively feel best with moving forward, because I asked this.
Yeah. Now, on the day of the NBA draft, you get a whole makeup team. You get very well looked after. Tell me about that day when you woke up. Did you just get to bed early the night before, or was it just so, like, the nerves and excitement?
No. Well, we were in bed early, but then, so just digress. That particular night, when I say early, 10 o'clock, most of the day had been done. But we had been really busy because the film crew had been following us around for days, okay? So it wasn't just NBA stuff. We had a separate Australian film crew that was following us around for a future possibility of something coming up, I don't know. So I was always on, I wouldn't say on guard, because you do actually forget, that they're there for after a while.
Really?
A bit like the Kardashians, I think. You really do after a while forget they're there, until they say, can we have a one-on-one interview? And then you sit down and speak. Yep. But the night beforehand, it was Kai, my oldest son's 21st birthday coming up. And Dyson kept calling us to say, don't go to sleep yet, I've got to come and talk to you about something. Don't go to sleep yet, I've got to come talk to you about something. 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock. What's going on, Dyson? What's going on? You know, we had no idea. Dyson had been waiting for a special jeweller to deliver a necklace that he had made for Kai's 21st birthday, and it didn't get there till midnight. so, and then it just felt like he came to our room and said, "Hey, I've got this. Here you go. Happy birthday. See you later." It was a very touching moment, but that was the night before. But back to preparation of the draft. Look, I'd like to say once again, I had no idea what to expect, no idea. I did a little bit of a search of past drafts, saw that mums were wearing anything from just a corporate suit or general. It's not as fancy as you think at all. So that did my head in more than anything. It was like how to not be too fancy, how not to be not too bland, and then put Brikitta in it, if I'm honest.
I love that part.
Right, really? Because I didn't want to embarrass my son in any way more than it's his moment.
Yep.
Because really, it was always his moment. I just knew what I knew is that we were going to the draft. It was the first thing that I knew a couple of months out, knew the date. Okay, great, got that. The next step is whether you're going to be invited to the so-called green room. And that then meant you will be on TV for that first intro as you come out on stage, and you will be sitting at a table close to the stage. Otherwise, if you're not in that top 15, you're up in the bleachers and no camera's finding you, okay? So it was still the unknown. So the lead up for me was just finding a dress I felt great in. I did come across some sort of, I don't know, TikTok, Instagram reel, I don't know, that suggested for the first time it made sense to take a photo of yourself in dressing rooms in the mirror.
Yeah.
I was astounded at how I would put on a dress, think, I really like that. Take a picture in the dressing room, go, oh, no way. Really? So I had a bit of fun a few months beforehand, going to Melbourne, trying things on to see what may present back on camera. Does that make just in preparation of the possibility?
Yeah.
Got closer to the date and asked. I had 3 possibilities. Asked all the boys which dress did they like the best. They chose that particular one, the cream one that I wore, which was a great choice in the end because it didn't clash with all their suits. Mm-hmm. I don't know why they chose it. I think Kai actually said you look younger in that one compared to others. I said, that'll do it. Oh, that's
great
it.
honesty, yeah.
So, the day came. The agent had always organised hair, makeup, the whole lot. My first time ever going through that. It was great. Once again, probably not as, as I said to you, getting ready for a wedding, really exciting. All these things really exciting. Our hotel room was nothing fancy. We were stuck in a bit of a corner. Girl rocks up with a suitcase of crap. I'm sorry. Other one's got the hair. You know what I mean? It's not like a glam room that I was in getting it done. But I did actually have a trial the day before for my hair and could have nearly cried because it was absolutely what I didn't want. It was one of those situations where I saw a hairstyle I liked. I sent it to them months beforehand, blah, 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 got them to try it, and it was totally wrong for me. So thank God I had this trial.
Yes. Oh.
And so then I told agent to tell hairdresser because I didn't want to tell the hairdresser. And then anyway, and then the next day everything worked out really well for that. So, yeah.
And I feel like what you ended up with is how you are anyway.
Oh, that's
like
good
it's
to
true
hear.
To yourself.
Yeah.
So I can't imagine what you had planned
outside of that.
Outside of that.
Oh, no real plan, just you're quite right. At the end of the day it was true to myself what it was.
Yeah.
So never ever expecting that I would even get any hype whatsoever because I have not had that until that draft.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Every article about my boys and their success was connected to their dad, Regis Daniels. So it would start off Regis Daniels, ex-Braves player or champion, professional basketball player. I never got a mention. So I really absolutely had no thought whatsoever that I would.
Yeah. So we have known each other for a while in terms of business and we work on some social media things together and you're always asking me, how do I go viral? How do I make this go viral?
Exactly. Well, there you go.
And you went viral. I had such joy in...
And we still don't know the answer because it just happened and I've got no idea.
Exactly. I had such joy in having a look at Google and just, putting in Brikitta Kool-Daniels and, you were viral and then screenshot and send to you. How was that? Because That happened immediately. So
Yeah.
as soon as you walked out
Yes.
on that big screen,
Yep.
there was one person that had posted a comment. I think it was on Twitter actually. And that's what started it all.
Yep.
And it just went.
Well, I'm not on Twitter, so I have no idea, but
Yeah.
America is huge on Twitter. So
Yep.
it makes sense to me that that was the first thing that supposedly happened.
Yeah.
For 48 hours, I had no idea.
No idea.
No idea. Once Dyson, we'd gotten through the nerves of it being selected and then really excited for that. You're whisked off for interviews. You're whisked off for official media pictures. Then we have our own after party, exhausted. And the next day you're still doing those sort of things, catching up and getting ready for whatever. So it was really, like I said, 48 hours later when I finally got to my Instagram and I'm having my friends messaging me these articles and what's going on. And then my son Dash started saying, geez, Mum, you're starting to beat me and all my Instagram followers, I'm like, what's going on? So by the hour, he was giving me an update.
Yeah.
So we were playing a game with it more than anything because I was still in a bubble. I know it's hard to say what you saw going on everywhere. My bubble was not that. My bubble was still just with my family in this NBA community, getting my immediate friendships and friends telling me this sort of stuff. But yeah, it was probably 48 hours later that I started seeing more. And then more things. And then Ricky came back to the hotel room to say a friend had said to me, I'm in the New York Post in New York. So the only thing we tried to do was go and find the actual print paper of the New York Post. Do you know how hard that is?
No.
There is no news agencies in New York.
Really?
It seems like print has disappeared completely.
Yeah.
It's like, those in the movies, those vendor machines you have to help yourself to. I had to find those in a pharmacy, some type of pharmacy, and still couldn't find it. Still this day, I couldn't get it.
Wow.
So,
Well, I'm not sure how many listeners I have in the States, but if anyone has a New York Times around that time.
Well, because I just would have liked, of course, you've got all the social media stuff.
Yeah, but something to cut out.
Exactly.
Yep.
Something to cut out, old school.
This is why we
That's
have
where we're
print.
at.
Yep.
Would have been just for my memory, my nice.
And as a nana later on, you can cut it out and see I was in the New York Times.
But I've got all the, from the NBA night, all the lanyards with the NBA official stuff. There was a ball with Dyson's name on it. I made sure I grabbed that. So, and this was embarrassing Dyson, by the way, because to him that's not an issue thing anymore. It's like, Mum, what are you doing?
Yeah.
You know, plenty of that. No, this day, this night, this is important to me.
Yeah, definitely. So yes, you did go viral. Did you ever sit to read the comments?
No, you know what? No, I really didn't. Something in my innate instinct, and obviously being older and hearing about trolls and this sort of stuff, I really did not. Maybe I would quickly look through direct messages, and if I recognised the handle of the social person as a friend, definitely quickly went into it. But I scrolled very quickly through everything. I did not look at Facebook ones.
Yeah.
I just knew that it would be a mix of good and bad, if you want to put it that way. And it wasn't something to ruin my moment.
No.
And I still to this day have not really read anything bad.
I think that's a great thing to do anyway. As you said, it's such a mix of people that come out in their little keyboard warrior.
Yeah. I think you know
mode.
me well enough to know that my confidence in myself is enough to know who I am. I know who I am, you know, and no amount of, bad whatevers is going to get to me. I think no one told me this, or maybe I did hear something, but I did start feeling a little guilt that I was taking away from Dyson's moment.
I think that was the main thread.
Oh, was it?
Yeah, was that
I must have.
you were taking the limelight off it. Like, it's
and I
his
don't know why
night.
that came to me. Maybe I did read something, or maybe someone said something to me, or just a mother's instinct. I don't know. But I was very, very quickly assured by people around me, he has so many moments and so many moments to come that, really absolutely not, so.
Not at all. And then when you explain it's actually the boys that picked which dress you wore.
Definitely. Yeah, absolutely. They did. Yep. They were all part of it, the whole thing. But I mean, I'm sorry, no one goes to one of this NBA draft night thinking that you're going to be picked because of your dress. It's just not something on the radar, really. I'm just really excited now that I have the best family photos of my life from the night.
They're incredible.
They're just wonderful. That's forever and ever grateful that I've got that.
Yeah.
And as mature boys, because as you know, how hard is it to get a picture like that when they're older?
Yeah, and they're all dressed up.
I know,
in beautiful suits and looking their best.
Yep, I know. But really, this whole and then secondly, I'm very, very aware. We have entered this world of business. This is a business game now, and so. Media needed a different angle to basketball.
Yeah.
So if it wasn't me, they were going to find another mother of somehow, some way, or some angle that wasn't basketball to bring more attention to their night of this NBA draft night.
Are you always stressing and guessing when it comes to your social media marketing? Do you feel like your effort doesn't bring the results you need, or you don't know how to check? Well, you need to check out my friend Mac and Ernie. Erica McInerney is a qualified marketing strategist with 25 years real experience, putting advertising, marketing and social media to work. She's focused on regional and rural businesses, teaching you the skills and confidence to develop strategy, measure results and keep that content machine running. For free tips, follow Mac and Ernie on social media or head to macandernie.com.au to find out more. Now back to the show. So how was the media? Obviously, there's lots of it surrounding it, both in the States and Australia coming back in.
Yep.
Were you ever part of those conversations, or was it still all about Dyson and Dad, really?
No, all about Dyson and Dad.
Yeah.
I mean, a couple of, when family was involved, like Sunrise, Channel 7 and so forth, yes. But what happened is that I would get some messages sent to me like 3AW, mostly Australian media, like mainstream Australian media, radio and everything like that, about can we have an interview, But I've got to pass that, or whether I have to or not, I don't have to, I would pass that via Dyson's agent to have it managed properly. And I would ask him and he would say yay or nay whether it was necessary or not. So that was an easy thing for me to just bypass, and I wasn't fussed about having to do it.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Oh, that's good. Well, now when you Google Brikitta, I mean, you come up, you've got a whole thing, so you need to get on your LinkedIn and fix that.
There was, for me, there was some nice times that, some primary school friends have reached out. And like one was like, what was the comment? Something like, is that where you ended up? And which is sort of nice in its way, because you always wonder at when you reunions. That's the only thing we have. What did people do? Where'd they go? And everything like that. So I am obviously very, very proud of everything about our family, one way or the other. So I'd like people to know our life.
Well, that's one thing I've also noticed over the years is going to events with you, and especially in the lead up to the draft, people would say, they might ask you a question, you go, my kids play basketball, and that's how you'd play it. I mean, I'd sit there and wait, and it never came to say, my son actually plays over in the G League and is in the draft this year. It never came up, and I think, wow, that's,
Some moments on this past journey, like for instance, waiting in customs in LA to get through, and I could see some stares. Not for me back then because it was before the draft, but they had recognised Dyson. So a couple of men came over and they were in the basketball world, if you want to call it, and started talking to Dyson and things like that. So, but I don't know. I never meant to downplay it. Well, no, I probably did a little bit because I was conscious of they were always winning what they did. So I didn't need to make that anymore. People knew without me having to say too much more there.
Yep.
So.
Now, as a 19-year-old, he's signed an incredible deal for an incredible amount of money for the NBA. I mean, I think that's normal, sort of what they come in at, which is just mind-blowing.
Mind-blowing.
How have you set him up, or is there anything that you've taught him over the years to make sure he's sensible with that money?
Look,
do you know what I mean? Like, how do they...
This frightens me more than anything, from so many angles, to not change the person that he is, because if there was one common thread this whole journey, people loved Dyson, not the basketball. They really loved Dyson, the person, because he is really a great kid in every way. And that does frighten me when this huge amount of money comes in, not because it is just how can I describe it? It would be silly to think that he wouldn't change a bit when you've got that much coming to you. Because, and the world he's gone into, there is an expectation or that you have to live up to certain ways, whether in fashion sense, where you're going, what you're doing, your grooming. Do you know what I mean? Things do change. Be realistic.
That fashion part of it is... I've actually gone through some of the NBA teams and their Instagram, and then even with G League, like they actually have like fashion shoots. Like, I can't believe how big that is.
Well, the first 3 months of G League for Dyson, he was still wearing his clothes from Australia, the champion tracky backs and things like that. And it wasn't until I went over and I did notice some of the boys always when I say dressing up in fashion clothes before going to training or before going to a game, I'm like, Dyson, we've got to get you some decent clothes.
Yeah.
I had to tell him because he was could not care less still.
Because they have this red carpet.
Yeah, all of that
and the fashion
sort of stuff.
cam, and they take a photo of them all on the red carpet before their game.
Right. So we finally just got something a little better or just a bit more individual of what he was wearing, but now it's a whole different ball game. But probably we have had countless Zoom calls and meetings with the people who know this world so well about protecting him and his finances and the sharks that will try and come in his world to market, to promise, to grab, all that sort of, probably too much, to be quite honest. We really are a little paranoid, which may not be, and it's a world we don't understand at all, but we do we have people in place. We have an agent in place. We have separate to the agent a financial advisor and accountant. So we've got all this in place, but still there's still people that work for Dyson. So if Dyson says, hey, I want that amount of money and I want to spend it on that, they have to give it to him. They can give him a bit of advice and talk and everything like that.
But it's his decision, isn't it?
But it is his decision. And that has already majorly changed for Dyson. We've gone from 0 to 100 in 3 months in the way that Dyson knows he's got money to spend. And Ricky will keep telling me that when I get worried, like when I think it's so unnecessary to be, I don't know, wearing a $500 bucket hat, okay?
I reckon I know which hat.
I'm just like, Ricky was, I suppose, $500 in the scheme of Dyson's life in the future is like 10 cents. Yeah. And I will never probably understand that, you know what I mean? And yeah, it's just going to be a different world that all together as a family we're going to have to learn to navigate. Of course, keep him grounded, but not. I don't want to be this stifling mum that's keeping him grounded in a way that's not realistic to the world he's living in.
Yes.
And I'm going to have to learn that. Yep. I don't know that answer yet. I'll ask the questions.
I'll ask the questions. He'll love that. And that's the thing. You're all still based here in Australia. Dyson's overseas. Yeah. Kai's just come back. I mean, he had a scholarship to play college basketball.
Yep.
How has it felt to send both boys over to America? I mean, feels very safe here for us.
Yeah, look, it was always not a plan, but I suppose it was a plan that we just knew that if this is the journey they're continuing on, the place you need to be is in the USA for it. Yeah. Of course, but just to let you know, when I met Ricky 25 years ago, I was very prepared to go live in the US. I was excited, and I'd already worked many places around the world and backpacked around the world, so I wasn't someone tied to have to live at home in Australia. So I had thought he'd met the perfect person to go live with him in the US. But lo and behold, he tells me, I'm not living in the US. It's too unsafe. He wanted to grow his family here in Australia because he'd already felt so much better living here and the life and so forth. But I think we always knew that if they were travelling this dream, it was going to be the US. I've travelled the US enough to know it just depends where you live. There are safe places, bad places, things like that. There is, obviously, it's scarier, but right place, right people, you're okay.
Yep.
So, but yeah, they're both over there now, and yeah, I'm more proud that they've gotten their dream than I am as how do I describe it, as a mum that wishes they were home with me. You know?
Yeah.
I will eventually go towards them. That's where they are.
Yep.
and travel.
So you came back on cloud nine. I mean, you
Yep.
had a very nice extended break. Dash and Ricky had to come home
Yes.
because, Dash has his own little basketball, journey that he's on too now.
He does.
So, yeah, you had a very nice time.
Oh, I did.
Hawaii, everywhere.
And just very quickly, you just mentioned Dash. Sorry, I just want to say that it's a different journey again. Okay, we now are not the unknowns, just being parents, going to tournaments and everything like that. Dyson has brought a whole nother media attention to his younger brother because
Yes,
he
I've
always
noticed.
shares. So Dash already, we're having to navigate like. At local basketball games, young kids are coming up asking for Dash's autograph.
I saw that at
I know.
Monday night. We had the Boomers and Iran play in Bendigo, which is incredible for us to have such a big sporting event here. But I had looked on the Insta that night and here it was, Dash stuck around as well to meet some fans. I'm like, okay.
So there's another learning journey again, because that's something we never had to consider with Dyson at all.
No.
Okay, so now I've got to figure out how do I navigate this for Dash that it doesn't, I don't ruin him. It sounds a horrible thing to say, of a different journey again of him getting to where his dreams are.
Because he still needs to be humble. And
absolutely.
There's still a grind.
Well, he still needs to work hard.
Yeah.
And I think we're all worried because the stories we've heard in Hollywood or movies or whatever, that when it all comes too easy to you, you may stop working hard.
Yep.
When you're already getting this limelight and people telling you how good you are and so forth. So a whole different journey again that as parents we're going to try and bring Dash through it.
And Dash is only 14.
Exactly. So I don't even want to have to think about it. I mean, I really don't want to have to think about it. I just want him to be 14, play junior basketball, get your selections for the next stages. Yeah. But we're being forced to consider other stuff of what the outside world's making it.
Yeah, incredible, isn't it? But so many little kids are looking up to him. That's the thing. So again, coming back to Bendigo, back to reality. Now, you and Ricky have worked so very hard in building a business that can hopefully run without, Brikitta and Ricky.
Yeah, we hope so. Exactly. I know.
And I suppose, you took, what was it, almost a month?
Nearly 6 or 7 weeks. I was gone and Ricky was 3 weeks gone.
Yep. Yeah. I mean, there's a lot that comes into play to manage your business to that point, to be able to take time out. And you guys have been in business forever, so, that should have been something you can do.
Yep.
But you've both come back and look, I know what your answer is going to be to this, but I will just first of all preface it and say, I really like coming into the gym and seeing Ricky and Brikitta at the front desk.
Oh, look, and that's where you lead me in my mind that I've been thinking a lot about this last week. Remember, ours is an independent family business. An independent business, we don't have head office franchises and things like that. So we've done the hard grind for 25 years about us and our reputation and business. And I don't know, so we probably took our finger off the ball, as you can imagine, for the last 6 months. All right, we haven't been in the business as much as we want to. Having said that, I've known for 10 months, 12 months, all right, that we were going to go to America for Dyson's opportunity. Does that make sense? So I had been heavily investing in staff that could take over management, marketing, do it all, and trying to transition D Club to be D Club, the name with new branding, not D Club Ricky and Brikitta.
Yeah.
All right, with the way I employed staff, we did a whole rebrand, we did a whole new gym. To transition it to be a stand-alone, whoever worked at the business would run, and Kimberly, it doesn't work. It just doesn't work. I'm just telling you, hand on heart. I don't know the answer. It's for many reasons, whether it's not so much the customers coming in to see Ricky and Brikitta, but no one runs your business as well as you do. The staff want your attention, your conversations, you're telling them they're great or not great, things like that. So many angles to all this that I've come back and I'm digging down hard to get my business back to the culture that it needs to be, which stems from me and Ricky. Because we have stepped out probably a bit for too long, thinking that it could just run without us. Yeah. And that obviously makes us think about the future and what it means and what we're going to do there. We are definitely not moving to America yet. I'd just like to put that out there.
Everyone wants to know that.
I know. One, I don't want to. Two, it's still not necessary.
Yeah.
Dyson is his own life now, okay? He's a young man embarking on his own life. Of course he wants to have family here and there, but he doesn't want his mum under the roof when he starts bringing the girls home.
Yeah,
so.
yeah.
And
He's not coming for family dinner.
Exactly. But the reality is they play 3 games a week and they fly all over America. So we don't need to be sitting in a house in a town that he's not even there. I imagine, and when I say that, it really is imagine, that when he settles down, girlfriend, wife, family, if everything works well and the girlfriend loves me or likes me around, we're really involved in his life as a family. But remember, not just Dyson, Kai and maybe Dash. But right now we have Dash to get through. We love Bendigo Australia still. We still have a business. Dyson is back at the beginning of his career again. He is a rookie, okay? He has to prove himself to stay in this NBA life. So
They do say the hard work starts now.
yeah, so there's no reason for us to uproot our life, let alone we don't want to. Okay, yeah.
But yeah, isn't it funny that here you are back in the business and working hard still. But as I said, I like coming in and, and even now and then we see Kai in there now. So
I probably just need a bit more of that from my members that they like seeing us again. I mean, I'm not saying none of them don't say that. Probably would like a little bit more because then you would go in more.
Yeah.
It's a bit like any staff member. Tell them that you thank them and like them, they'll come in more.
Yeah, but they're big hours though. Like as you said, you've worked in the business.
Yes.
You've had the business for 25 years, and you're in there from sometimes 6 till 6.
But I mean, the reality is that now we're over in our 50s now, me and Ricky. So we need to attract a different demographic so that comes through in fitness and health. It's awful. I don't feel that way. I feel like I can talk to a 20-year-old no problem, but I'm sure when they're looking at me, they have different thoughts. As in whether it's the way do you know what I mean? It's just different. Yeah. And I'm very wise to that. So there has to be an end game, one or the other.
Definitely. So just to wrap us up, if you could describe the experience of the draft in general, what words would you use?
Oh, immensely proud of everything Dyson has represented as a person and an athlete. Just an experience I will forever hold so high of an adventure of everything beyond my wildest dreams that I could have imagined, went well, went right, had my moment just to make it even more exciting, which I didn't expect, which is why it was exciting. Got to do it with my family, so it's just that in itself, the whole family being a part of it. And I love to learn. I'll say it again, love to ask questions. It just makes life a great journey.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Perfect. Well, yes, thank you for, finding time for, a little publication like Oak. I've been waiting.
Look, no one's really, I will share my experience with everybody because I need to keep remembering it too because so many little things happened that I've forgotten, and the tiniest things that mattered to the bigger story.
Yeah.
So the more I can speak to someone a little bit about it, it's a nice memory lane already for me because it is a bit sad that is a world away now. Really, I'm sitting here in Bendigo, back to my club, back to my working life and family life, and it's a world away. I feel very, very removed from what's going on with Dyson, even though we have Messenger and FaceTime and all that sort of thing. I'm not feeling what's going on over there. So
will you head back over when the season starts to watch his first games?
Maybe not the first game, but we found a block there where there's a good 6 or 7 games through December to January. So we'll book that time. So he'll be home in home. He'll be in New Orleans in his new place, the Pelicans, and so we'll get to all stay there where he's there and go watch quite a few games then, and have Christmas as a family. So that's a good option.
Amazing. Yeah. Well, we'll all be watching. I'm now a fan of the New Orleans Pelicans. It was so funny. Like when Dyson was drafted, Zakai was on his laptop, getting a jersey and putting the name on it, not knowing what number he was already. Like there'd be so many kids that were doing that. Like,
and you and I, we just think about that in the bigger picture of business and the phenomenon and the social media
incredible.
And something you'd never thought about in that world, which is many worlds, many industries. That's what happens.
Yeah, I think think it might have been a couple of days later, we were in at Rebel and they had a Pelicans beanie. So David bought that and worn it all winter. And it's just been funny because people will recognise it. This is the thing. You go to football and people are like, oh, the Pelicans. I see you've jumped on that bandwagon early.
And heads up, a little scoop. There's no absolute dates, but I can promise you next April, which is usually when the season has finished for everybody, right? Really, even if you've been in finals, you've finished, Dyson will be back in Bendigo. There'll be a big event at the stadium. You'll be able to buy tickets, do a meet and greet, all that sort of stuff.
My gosh.
The first place he plans on coming back to is to thank the Bendigo people. So
that is
going to be
huge. I just think, what the Boomers brought to town.
I know.
Like, this is an NBA star coming, so this will be incredible.
I can't believe that you went with your son and not your husband. I'm like, how did you get to pick it?
No, I really enjoyed it. Yeah, it was good. It was good. It's good to see things like that. And I think I go to it from a marketing perspective, though. I will admit that.
Yep.
Just especially being in Bendigo and knowing we have the Commonwealth Games coming up. Like for me, I'm thinking a couple of years down the track and what does that look like and how can we leverage it as business owners in town?
Yeah, absolutely.
And make the most of it.
All the time, isn't it?
Never switch off. As always, thank you, Brikitta.
Thank you, Kimberly. Enjoyed.
Now, before you take off with all that inspiration and knowledge, we'd love for you to leave a review on our podcast so that we can continue to amplify women's voices in the media. And if you have any questions, we'd like to celebrate a win, you can always connect with us on Facebook and Instagram at Oak Magazine AU. I'm so glad we've met and that now you know a friend of mine.